What's going on, fam? Ruben here, coming at you on my birthday. Today is my birthday. Turning the big 3-zip. 30 years old I have been on this planet. And I wanted to come out with this video. Just a quick caveat and warning. You've probably seen it. If you clicked it, you're expecting it to be this long. This will be a long form video, and I really hope you enjoy it. Obviously, in the description down below, I'll put timestamps for you to go and really delve into any one that you particularly want to see in terms of what I've learned in my last 30 years of living. If you have been following me, or if you're brand new to the channel, welcome, first of all. I hope you enjoy everything that we talk about here, whether that's regarding nutrition, health, spirituality, growth mindset, and much more. So with that, I'm going to jump right into the video. I have a huge list on my phone that I wrote out the other day. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm reminding myself on what I want to talk about is just talking points. And yes, it's really hard to just keep all this in your head. So with that, I want to start with numero uno, number one. One thing I learned, and I want to just start off with this, is everything that you think is important actually probably isn't. The most important things in your life, and this is kind of leading into the second one, but for me, most important is my relationship. So the people that I care for and love, if they are willing to grow and they want to be on this journey with me, they will get the utmost respect and the utmost priority over anyone else in my life. And I'm really hardcore when it comes to my people. Is probably why I don't have like a large quantity of friends, but I'm more of the fact that I want quality friends. And when people say like you are the people you spend the most time with, you are the 5 people, or I forget that quote, I'll just put it right here somewhere. Jim Rohn said that quote, and I believe it's very true. And I look back on my life and I'm like, who was I when I was hanging out with this set of friends? Who was I when I was hanging out with this set of friends from junior high school, as far as I can remember, junior high school and the friends I had there, to high school and the friends I had there, and even beyond that, and the people I met after I graduated, and who I was and what I was doing during those times. So my relationships, definitely, and I'll talk more about this in number 2, your health, supremely important, as well as, I think those are like only 2, right? Your health, because in order for you to do the things you need to do, you need to have your health. And then your relationships, because we are a species that requires love and touch and all these different aspects. I mean, when you're a baby, if your mom puts you really close to her, you will grow up much better. And there's a bunch of studies out there on this. You will grow up less attached and more independent, and all these other things that come out of that. So I think what we believe is important, whether that's, yes, your purpose in life and your work is important, but those will trump that any day. And for most people, the work that you do and how important they make it seem is actually not, because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying your work isn't important, it is, but at the end of the day, if anyone's not dying, I don't think it's important, right? So at least that's my personal preference. So if you're like a doctor, you're a surgeon or something, yes, like that is super important. If that's your love and that's what you want to do, super important. But most things that you think is important is not. Your fancy car that's out there, it's not important, and I would question you on why you want that fancy, expensive car. Something's there from your childhood. Sorry for those watching that into cars. It's just that's what I think. I mean, I struggled with gaming addiction, and that's one thing I talk about. I thought it was very important back then, but now I see that it is not that important as I thought it was, right? So as you grow older, and this is what I've noticed from the men that I follow and that I look up to, is that they have different set of values that are more important than others. But anyway, I spent a lot of time there, and I kind of delve into my second thing that I learned over the past 30 years about my health, right? I've always been going to the gym since high school, on and off. So I've taken months off, I've gone back and forth. When it comes to your health, and I think Paul Chek has a great, fascinating quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, and it goes along like, sooner or later, you will realize that your health is the most important thing, right? And people don't realize this until the last minute. They go to the doctor last minute, they find out that something is wrong, and then they want to fix it, versus catching it before it's even there. So why you work out, for instance, in my case, why I work out, why I hit the sauna, why I do cold immersion therapy, so cold shower, cold baths, jumping in the ocean in the winter, things like this. Like, I haven't done that, but I would love to. Just putting yourselves in these uncomfortable scenarios to make your body stronger, to be able to fight off disease and sickness and all these things. I realized that I need to start that now. And I started it years ago. I started it when I was 15 originally, but I didn't start really eating healthy till I was about maybe 25, 26. So health, by far the most important thing in your life, because without that, what more can you do? So at the end of the day, take care of your sleep. Please watch what you eat. Please watch what you do. Please make sure you're moving a lot. All of that stems into your health, as well as stress management and making sure you're putting good stress on your body and staying away from the really bad stress. And I'll create another video on that. Third, sacrifices should be made based on what you value. So a lot of people maybe sacrifice, and I've done this, whether that's time to do this thing versus this thing. So I would sacrifice time playing video games versus going out hanging out with my friends when I was in my early 20s, late teens. And I think about that now, and it's like, that was so stupid, because I wanted to stay home playing video games like by myself, which I enjoy my time by myself. But at the end of the day, hanging out with my friends could have been, at the time they were friends that I wanted to be around, but laziness won that battle, right? And sometimes you have to sacrifice. There's going to be points in your life where the only most important things will be work and your family, right? So you won't have time to go out with friends. You probably will say, I don't have time to go to the gym and do all these things. Yes, sacrifices will be made, but they made on the short term. And as you may be aware, you may be going through this right now, we're always juggling all these different things around us. And juggling them is hard, and there's going to be some times where you might drop a plate. It's like juggling the plates on your hands, and you're just looking up and making sure that you have them all balanced, but sometimes one will get more precedence over another. So it's about how to find that balance, and how, if you do drop that plate, you can add another one and get back on it. Whether that's, hey, I stopped going to the gym for many months, which I've done in the past a lot. So when I cannot make it to the gym for 1 week because I'm so busy with work, maybe I have family over, whatever the case may be, I make sure to move more. So I try to implement something throughout my day and stack it on something else. Like, what can I do to, maybe I can walk longer, maybe I can park further away so that I'm forced to walk to wherever I'm going, right? So making sure I implement that, and just being strategic and creative with how I can implement things and keep that balance there. It's an art. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I still mess up. There's still things that I want to do that I just haven't, right? Whether that's journaling every day. I've dropped that ball many times, but I'm working on it every day. And every time I drop a ball, cool. Day one, let's go again, right? Let me see how long I can last this time. So making sure that those sacrifices are made for the greater good. So make sure whatever sacrifice I'm making today, I'm doing it for my future self. I want to make my future self happy. My 5 years Ruben, 35-year-old Ruben, I want to make him happy. What can I do today to make sure that he's set up for success? So I think of him as someone else, because technically I will be someone else. And I'll go through that as we go forward. Number 4, you can learn from anything or anyone with the right mindset. Even the people that you feel like, I hate being around this person, if you change your mindset to be curious as to why you don't like that person. Ask yourself, first of all, why don't I like that person? What does that person do that I dislike? And is this coming from me, or is it this something that they do and multiple people believe the same thing? Maybe it's something from them. So I can learn from not doing that and why it affects everyone else. If the reason why you don't like someone is personal, then see for yourself. But if the reason you don't like someone is something similar that a lot of people are also saying, maybe similar friends or people, peers or anything, then obviously maybe it's that person and they have something that they need to fix. And if you work with that person, for instance, I feel like this would be more of a work scenario. It's great to give that person some kind of feedback or hold them accountable to something or talk to someone that they may know. But I think as adults, we shouldn't be hiding and talking shit behind people's back. Give them that feedback in the most respectful manner possible. And that's kind of what I do in my day job. And I give, whether that's a staff member feedback, a peer feedback, or a student that I'm mentoring feedback, right? So with the right mindset, you can learn from anyone. You can learn things not to do, and you can learn things to do. Like, what are they good at that I can use in my life, or remix and put in and make it and rubify it, as I like to say, rubify it. New word there. So you can learn anything from anyone. It's just a matter of being open-minded and curious. Number 5. As I was mentioning before, you change. So when I was talking about 5-year out Ruben, he will be a different person. I heard this somewhere, and maybe I'm wrong. I'll try to look for studies and add links below for them. But they say you change every 7 years, even to a biological level. Like your new cells, you have brand new skin. Obviously, your skin changes, your facial structure changes. Your mindset changes because obviously growth experience, all these things are added. And I think it was Elliot Host who said this in a video many years ago, that he said that you change every 7 years. It's as if everything is cyclical, just like the seasons. Our lives have seasons too, and within 7 years you experience all the seasons of life. So every 7 years, with the more experience, with more wisdom, as long as you're doing the proper growth work, you do change. And I've realized that. I look at my life when I was 7, the bare minimum that I can remember. I remember a lot of things from when I was 14, and then 21, and then 28. Like, you know, and I'm on my 4th cycle of that 7 years, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, when I look back, those were pivotal moments in my life. Like being, 7, I don't remember much, but 14, very pivotal moment in my life. 21, very pivotal moment in my life, very, very significant. 28, another pivotal moment in my life. It's just a mindset change, and like things that I found important change. And so we're always changing. So never, I would say one thing that I also learned was just that I never look, when I look at somebody for something they've done and it was 7 years ago, I'm like, this is a brand new person. Like, why haven't I forgiven them for something they've done so long ago, right? So forgiveness is key, and I'll get into that as we move forward as well. So you do change every 7 years. Look into it. Number 6, one thing I learned is that you outgrow some of your mentors eventually. I didn't think that was possible. I always thought, as you look at this mentor figure and you always believe that there's someone better, like their success is unattainable. But then I realized that success means something different, which is another step as well. But when I look at their success, it's like, where are they successful, right? They could be successful financially, but are they successful emotionally, mentally, physically? Like, where's their success, and how do they measure success? Because the way I measure success may be different from how you measure success, and how the other person in the other room that you're with measures success. Success looks different for almost everybody. It may look similar to some folks, whether that's having a Lamborghini or a big giant mansion and all those superficial things. I see success as a much more bigger, right, adding more, like emotionally, physically, my home, like all these things are successful, because I can love to come to my home and it's a small little shitty studio and be completely happy with that, versus a person who owns a mansion with 40 bedrooms and is depressed as fuck, right? Like, so success may mean different things to different people. And you eventually outgrow your mentors. You believe like, oh, I don't agree with what they said. I've grown out of that. Or like I took what I needed and now everything they're saying, I'm kind of over it and I need to find more. I need to find something different, right? So eventually you will outgrow your mentors, and I think that's completely okay. You know, they may turn into friends, or they may, you know, just fall to the side, and you probably never see them again, but they were there for that specific chapter in your life that was necessary for your growth. So mentorship, extremely powerful, but understand that we do outgrow our mentors. And I think you will, when you do this work, you start feeling like, I don't listen to this person no more because I think I outgrew them and everything they're saying I just don't vibe with anymore. That may happen. Number 7, back in the day, and this is what I put it's good to start with low expectations when you meet people. Back in the days, I have a lot of high expectations based upon whether that was someone else talking about a person or how this person really showed up. And you're fascinated by them, and you're like, I want to be their friend, they're amazing, we vibe well and all these things. And then they do something or say something which kind of throws you in for a loop, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I did not expect that. And when you have when I started having low expectations, like when I meet somebody, I will give you trust. I will be extremely nice to you. I will spread that love to you and share that heart to heart with you. But I don't expect much. Just for the simple fact that if you have high expectations, a lot of people suffer for this. Tons of memes out there for this. If you have high expectations, sooner or later that person will let you down. It's bound to happen. We're freaking human. It's part of our nature. So we're not perfect. There will be times where we'll let you down. You know, for instance, if I have high expectations that someone will always be on time, like I have a very strong like time thing where I like when folks are on time. I hate when people are late. And you know, lately I've been taking it a little bit easier, like being more lenient with it, because being strict and rigid is not healthy. High expectations, right? So instead, I have low expectations of a person who runs late often, and I kind of start figuring, oh, from the last 2 times we hung out, they were 10 to 15 minutes late, so what I'm going to do is show up 10 to 15 minutes late. Or maybe I'll show up on time, great, good, and they're late, good, I'll just read a book. I have more time to read a book, get through the book that I'm reading right now. So it's, once again, using your mindset to really shift the way you think. So everyone I meet, I have low expectations of them. I put in my head that they will let me down eventually. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. So it sounds, a lot of people be like, oh, that's kind of negative. I don't think it's negative. It's better, it's more positive, because it's like, hey, I know you're human. I understand, and this will happen. It's just a matter of when, and when it happens, I'm not sitting there like, oh my God, I never thought this would happen, blah, 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 and you get all upset and go into this negative downward spiral. So starting with low expectations when you meet people, even with the people you love. Number 8. Most people struggle with reliability and holding themselves accountable. And this kind of ties in with the last one of low expectations. I've noticed that not only myself, there are times when I'm not reliable. There are times when I don't hold myself accountable well. And I started seeing this through my day job. And things I've gotten, a lot of my work involves working with a lot of different people and working on different projects and dealing with emotions, because it's a program that people are going through and they have different emotions on it. So I started noticing and working with all these people that sometimes people just drop the ball on things and or they'll forget things. I know I've done it. People do it all the time. I thought I was the only one, and I'll hate when I did it. But then I was just like, oh, this actually happens more often. Like, as humans, it's really hard to try to keep up with the way the world is right now. Like, our brains evolution has not kept up with what we have created in terms of technology. So when it comes to reliability and holding others accountable, or having others hold themselves accountable, it's really difficult. It's a struggle. So what I've done recently, like I said, is have those low expectations and be okay with certain things messing up. Obviously, if someone messes up on the same thing more than 2 times, I'm going to be like, hey, this has to be fixed. But most of the time they will fix themselves back up. But it always takes time. Things take more longer than you may be aware. So people do struggle with being reliable and holding themselves accountable, and I think that's completely okay as long as they're aware of it and they're working towards getting better. So yes. Number 9, I put here, people are a reflection of you. And it's very broad. So I want to make it much more in detail. I'm zoning on it. And people are only a reflection of you based upon how they make you feel. So what do I mean? So for some reason, when I'm near a person and every time we're together, I'm like, I'm just not getting a good vibe, or like this person makes me angry every time they talk, or something like that. You may be aware of. It's something that's going on within here that's showing up in this person. So I don't like them. They make me angry because maybe they talk about this, which I've had maybe they talk about, I don't know, let's make this easy. So maybe they'll talk about something like, oh, video games are bad for people. And that's something I do not agree with. Like, immediately do not agree with. Obviously, I won't be to that person like, I don't agree with you, that's wrong, yada, yada, yada. But they may say that, and if that's making me mad, and it's like, why is that making me mad? First, I'll think about that. And, oh, it's because you have this opinion. Well, find out where that opinion of theirs came from. Like, have they had an experience with someone that in their family that played a video game and became very, very violent? Was it because of the video games, or was it because of something else? Are they ignorant to it, and understanding the studies that show that that's just not the case? So it's more of questioning me and this anger coming from an opinion that I view and value versus like seeing where it's coming from them. So I'm reflecting and putting my anger and hate to them, which will show up. Obviously, I might be sarcastic with them. I might be very short with them. I might be condescending to them, right? It may come up in different ways, maybe body language and all these things. And if they are aware of that, they're going to see it eventually. But in the end, like, people are a reflection of the emotions that are going within you. I think that would have been better putting there versus people are a reflection of you. So just question and see what these folks are about. I think it's more imperative to you. So number 10, I put darkness is always looming. Something I've been studying a lot recently has been darkness. Like just the dark side that we deal with. Funny enough, I just saw Star Wars earlier this week, so it's very much right there in my head. And if you watch that movie, actually I'm not going to give a spoiler, so skip that. But majority of those movies, like Star Wars, Avengers, there's always a good guy and a bad guy, and usually there is a good guy who gets attracted to the darkness, or someone from the darkness goes into a more heroic light area. But the simple fact is the darkness is always there. It's always looming behind us. There's always a shadow, for instance. And one of my favorite games, and I think I spoke about this in a video once before. If you watch, I've probably mentioned it, it's called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, she is fighting the darkness. Inside, it comes up for her, it becomes a physical manifestation. So spoiler alert, everything she goes through in the game, you don't really know if it's actually happening or it's all in her mind. It kind of leaves it like open-ended for you to kind of gauge that, kind of like Inception, at the end of Inception with the little thing he spins. You kind of never know what's going on within her, but a lot of the game deals with her own inner darkness and what she's fighting with. And at the end, she says a quote, which I'll find here. I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death. Because a life without loss is one without love. Turn your back on death and you only see the shadow that it casts. The longer you hide from it, the longer the shadow grows, until all you can see is darkness. When our time comes, we must look at death in the eye and embrace it as a friend. Only then can we let go of fear and emerge from our darkness. And I truly believe that the reason why that's so powerful is because we are all holding darkness within us. We choose to utilize it in a specific way, whether you choose to ignore it and just kind of stuff it to the side, and it ends up showing up in a lot of the things we do in our relationships, in our work, in how we treat ourselves, in our nutrition. It shows up, right? Addictions come up, a lot of things. So the darkness is always there, whether you like it or not, it's there. And what I learned is that I need to face it. I need to kiss fear, which it's something that line I got from The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita. And kissing fear makes me come face to face in terms with my inner darkness so that I can use it to my advantage in life versus just having it there and have it show up in all these other areas subtly. And then you're always sitting there, if they're showing up like, why does this keep happening? It's because you haven't faced the darkness within yet. And if you want a shortcut way to face your darkness, take a psychedelic, trust me. Shrooms, ayahuasca, any of these. If you hear multiple stories of folks who have gone on under these psychedelic medicines, it has showed them their darkness, whether they felt death or they felt dark clouds and all these things. But at the end of the day, it's you facing your inner darkness so that you can live your life fully, wholly, and completely. So darkness is always there. It's a matter of how you are facing your darkness. So I think it's very powerful if you choose to face your darkness. Wow, we're 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes in. We're only at 10. 11. Striving for happiness will only bring you more unhappiness. So if your only goal is I need to be happy, you will find all ways possible to be happy. And in that adventure of looking for happiness, you will never find it because it's always has been there. So people look for happiness in materialism, cars, they buy things, they buy people things, all these superficial ways of happiness that media, marketing, and all these things have shown us. Happiness starts right now. You can choose this moment in this instance, and this is what I learned, to be happy or not. Like, am I happy right now? Yes, right? Or, when you ask that question, am I happy right now? And you say no, well, great. You know that you're not feeling happy. What's causing that? Cool. Be curious about that. And what can you do to uplift yourself? Or maybe you do have to feel that out for a little bit and eventually it'll pass. So let the feeling pass through you and you will be back into your happiness. Because happiness, nothing like, oh, you need this much money to be happy. Well, there's people around the world who don't have any money or don't have a lot of things and they find happiness in the smallest things. So there's that. And some of the happiest people I've ever seen are people without money. I grew up, my mom was happy. She smiled a lot. We were poor. We didn't have much, right? But she always showed me that happiness doesn't mean you need the money. Yeah, it makes it a little hard and you have these stressful times, but I think happiness can be found. And a lot of people, Jay-Z couldn't have said it best, more money, more problems. A lot of money does bring a certain kind of unhappiness that most people are unaware of. And if you read these stories of all these lottery winners, they've suffered through countless things of having all that money. Relationships get destroyed. They don't know what to do with it. They end up investing in all the wrong things. They end up losing all the money. Some of them commit suicide for a multitude of reasons. So, happiness is not in money. It's in everything else that happens. And I think spirituality is a big part of that. And that doesn't mean religion at all. It's just spirituality is just a relationship with yourself and how you view things. So mindset at the end of the day. Number 12, I'm going to talk about this a little bit because I also had it at the end, but love and death are the ultimate and there is nothing else. Death being your best teacher, love being one of your best teachers. These are the two. They kind of it's like a triangle. Like there's death, there's love, and then there's you, and you are all interconnected. Because at the end of the day, if you listen to anyone that has taken psychedelics or have gone under anything, they will say there is all but love. God is love. All these lines that you have heard, but it's true. And when you have that experience that God is love, or that everything around us is just pure love, and what does that mean? And no one knows. Love is just energy. You want to put it in scientific terms, but we just call it love. And there's so many studies out there. Books like Becoming Supernatural explain why love is one of the ultimate feelings you can have. Mind to Matter. There's so many books out there on it, and it's just science hasn't kept up with it yet. But they're getting there with quantum physics and all these things. And then death being the ultimate teacher, because when we understand that you are a mere mortal, you are not a god. Your spirit is part of God or love in this sense. But death can be ultimate teacher. If you contemplate on what death is, it is terrifying, it is fearful, but guess what? We can't escape it. It's going to happen. It happens to all of us. We become one with the earth, everything dies, and that's just what it is. And once you understand that, it's very humbling understanding that, and I'm not going to dig deeper into that. I'll create another video of that. But it's definitely a conversation that everyone should have. We should have it in our mind that it may happen. So when you have a fight, hug the person you love and be like, I don't know if this person might be here tomorrow, right? You just never know. And a lot of people are like, well, it's like, you just never know, right? You just never know. And just hear stories of people who, went out one day and never came back home, or never woke up after they went to bed. I had a friend that happened to him. He just went to hospital one day, passed out, and never woke up again. So just having that experience and seeing that and hearing that, a person that I went to high school passed away for that, it's definitely a lesson and a teacher to live my life in the present moment and just spread as much love as possible and just forgive, right? Number 13. You are a priority to be in service of others. No one else is a priority. You come before everyone. Because without you, you can't be in service of everyone, right? And I hope, there's people here who are probably very much givers. They will sacrifice everything to provide and just be that. That's beautiful and amazing. I have so much respect for you. But do that after you have filled your cup and taken care of yourself. That's something I learned. I've learned that selfishness is not a bad thing entirely. That you can use it to your advantage. 14. True happiness comes from lifting others up. So if you really want to be happy and you're having a bad day, walk in the street, you see someone with a cool ass jacket, be like, hey man, I really like your jacket. Or hey man, I really like your shoes. Or hey, I think those look really nice on you. Or like, where did you get that? I would love to have it. It's really nice. All these little things. Or you tell someone you love, you're amazing. I'm really grateful for having you in my life, or giving a call from a friend and just telling them how grateful you are. You are to have them in your life. There's so many ways to find happiness and just uplifting others. Even smiling to the barista in the coffee shop is powerful, because when they don't get that often, they are very busy, and sometimes a lot of people, especially in New York City, are disrespectful to them. So give them a smile, show them some respect. Same thing with the server that served you your food today. Always treat those people with respect. Say thank you, and trust me, you will experience much, much more happiness. And that's just small ways of experience. There are bigger ways, obviously, of uplifting others and making sure they have what they need. Number 15. If you want to grow fast, be in a relationship. A relationship will catapult you straight up to the top. Because when you live with someone, or when you're with someone who sees you completely versus like how your friends see you, how your family see you, this is the person you spend your time with. Whether you live with them or not, you spend a lot of time together. Guess what? They will challenge you. They will push your buttons. It's bound to happen. There's no perfect relationship. What makes the relationship perfect is you handling these situations. So relationships definitely surefire way to growth. especially if you have people who will provide you with feedback, who will tell you and tell you when you're bullshitting, tell you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, holding you accountable. The true way of love is holding one accountable. Relationships are the sure way to grow, as long as you are open to it and making sure that you give the expectations to the people you build these relationships with, whether that's a partner or friends, is, hey, when I'm not on my shit, please call me out. You have to set that expectations and not have them afraid. And when they tell you something, do not react in an anger way. And if you do react that way, make sure to apologize to them and just let them know, like, hey, I know I felt that, but you were totally right? As long as the person has the growth, and Karina can attest to this, she's not here right now, but she can attest to the fact that sometimes I will say something, she will not like it at that given moment, and I just hold that space. I don't get mad as well sometimes, but I hold that space, and sure enough, a few maybe hours later, she'll come up and be like, you were right about this, and things like that. And the same goes vice versa. When she tells me something, I get upset, and then a few hours later, I'm like, you know what, you were kind of right. I was, I needed what you said to help me for my next steps, right? So always, if you are open to it, use your relationships as a way to grow. Number 16, I would say having an adopted family is okay. And what do I mean by that? Your adopted family are the people you choose to be your family, whether that's your partner, some of your best friends. These are people that are not maybe related to you by blood, but I think there's an energetic thing to it. Like, there are people who will do things that your family may not be able to do or may not want to do for you in certain cases. And I think it's okay to have an adopted family, or like a family. That's why Friendsgiving has become such a big thing every year for a lot of folks, because sometimes you just don't want to be with your blood family. It's just the reality. They have a lot of generational issues that you don't want to be a part of. And that's going to lead me to my next point. But having an adopted family, having your friends be your family is totally okay. I think we tend to feel guilty when we're not spending time with a lot of people, not everyone, but when we don't spend time with our family during the holidays, we don't visit them as often, or things like this. Like, I always say, like, hey, you love your family. I know I love my family, and there are points and certain people in my family I love from a distance. That means I don't talk to them too much. Because of the fact that they just don't have value, anything that I value. It's really hard to talk to them. But I do, to see how they're doing, tell them I love them, and just keep them around, because your family are, most of the time, sometimes, will be the ones to support you when things get hard. And I had that experience a few years ago where a family member took me in when I was having a really hard time financially, and help me out. So, but having an adopted family that you can run to when your family cannot support you is totally okay. And I learned that as well in the recent years. That leads me to my 17th point. Breaking your generational pain. It is crucial to your growth. It is so crucial. Something I've experienced is I noticed, like, from the stories I heard of my grandmother, my grandfather, how they came to America, typical expat story, immigration story. They weren't immigrants, they came from Puerto Rico, but they came here, they started a huge family. They weren't educated, so they never finished school, so which means, like, they didn't finish school. So my aunts and uncles, so my grandparents had 13 children. They didn't complete, majority of them didn't complete school, with the exception of my mom, who completed school. I'm just using education. That doesn't really mean much, because I know a lot of amazing uneducated people that just didn't finish school but are doing amazing things in the world. So breaking generational pain just means that I'm not going to do the same things. I'm not going to be the same way. I'm going to do things very different. And I think our generation, or at least the generation that was born, or the millennials, are really taking that, a lot of them, and just like being like, I'm not gonna have that. One thing that I noticed when it comes to my culture is that a lot of Latinos and Hispanics have this obligation to have to take care of their family, which pulls them back from being successful in the future. What I think, and maybe I can be wrong, right, is that I'm gonna make sure I become successful first so that I can take care of my family later, versus trying to take care of them while I'm doing all these other things, which is respectable to so many people who already do that. But I think in the long run, that can really put a toll on your mental attitude and how you view the world, and really stifle your growth. So it sounds messed up, but breaking a generational pattern means like staying away from the things your family does. And that's something I had to really come to terms with. It was really hard because I always felt bad if I wasn't spending holidays or talking to my family as much, and just trying to get out of that pain, the complainingness, and not being able to be a certain somebody, be a certain way. I was just done with that. So it's imperative that breaking generational patterns can be very supportive in one's growth. 18, one of my favorites. Reading is essential to living a good life. And I know this because of all the books that I've read. All these people are avid readers as well. The most successful people I know, whether that's financially, emotionally, physically, like every one of them read. And they read a variety of books. I think of somebody I can tell you is Bill Gates, right? He reads a variety. He doesn't only read, about computers and software and everything he created, but he reads everything under the stars, right? Philosophy, psychology. He read books on quantum physics. He'll read books on, there's a great docu-series on him called Inside Bill's Brain. And they show a stack of books, and there's like books from all over the place, right? He'll read sci-fi. He'll read all these different things. And I think it's great to have all these ideas floating in your mind, because eventually you'll take them and make it into your own, which is a lot of my videos. It's like I read all these books that are around me. I literally have a book on the floor, a book under this table that I have the camera standing on. I have a shelf of books here that are, we have, it's over full, so we have to actually buy another shelf for them. But I like to be surrounded by knowledge. I like to be learning constantly, and making sure I'm producing constantly to make it go through me. So I think if you want to live a long life, read books. And I'm talking about reading books that may challenge your ideas, may challenge your opinions, and reading books of things that require you to think about, or have this problem. There's a book for that, right? Right now, I haven't started it yet, but this is my next read. The five languages of appreciation in workplace, from the guy who wrote the 5 love languages. Why I need to read this? Well, because I manage over 50 people in a workplace. So I was like, oh, I need this, so I need to read this. So not only from right now, but in the future, when I decide to have Jesse and I, Hidden Health squad, decide to open up our wellness center, I'm gonna have people working for us. How can I make sure that they have the best place and they want to stay, right? So I'm always reading about things that I need right now, but that can also help me in the future. So reading is essential if you want to live a really good life. And I know I always hear people say, oh, but I don't like to read. And I was one of those people early in my teens, right? Till I hit about 19, 20. I met somebody who was an avid reader and just like fascinating person. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to read these books that he's recommending to me. It was hard at first. And what I did was I took one of my favorite books and I read it 3 times in a row, like literally front to back. And then I just started reading after that. Or maybe reading's not your thing, like a physical book. Hey, there's always audiobooks. It's just a habit that needs to be built. And I think when people are like, oh, but I'm not a big reader, it's bullshit. Read. You'll find something that you like eventually. Just keep trying. 19. And I kind of talked about this already. Sooner or later, your health will be your #1 concern. So begin taking care of yourself today. With that, I'm just going to leave that there because I already spoke about that. So I ended up putting it here. 20, movement. Not only exercise is vital to maintaining good health. So when people are like, tell me as clients, it's like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. What do you do throughout the day? And I ask these questions. What do you do at your workplace? Do you sit in front of a computer all day? What are you doing throughout the day? Like those days that you stay home, do you take a long walk and listen to something? Like what are you doing? And I'll find times and ways that they can move more and walk around and make sure that they're standing and moving and stretching and doing all these things. I have fun with movement. Like right now, we decided not to get a couch here because I want to be able to move in the house, and being in a couch is easy to sit. I'd rather be on the floor and have to get all the way up, and that's training my body and keeping it always on terms, right? I'll squat in front of the TV sometimes. Me and Karina are watching television shows. There's so many things that you can do to move that we think like, oh my God, I have to exercise. Sometimes you don't even have to. Just make sure you're moving often. Hit the gym once or twice a week. If you really don't have time, just move every day. If you don't want to hit the gym or the gym is closed for whatever reason, go out and take a walk, right? But just move. It's really imperative to your health, especially if you, like me, you don't want to be hunchback over a walker when you grow up. I do not want that, so I'm making sure that I move a lot. I do different kinds of movements. I'm always following people on Instagram that are functional movement coaches, and just some shout outs there will be like Eric Leha. I probably pronounced his last name wrong, but he's called the Primal Swolder. He's an on-it coach, always talks about movement. And his girlfriend, Francesca, I don't know her last name, but Francesca is also all about movement. Aaron Alexander, who just came out with the Align Method. These are people that I follow when it comes to movement. So check them out. I respect their work a lot. But yeah. 21, it's important to live close to nature. It's why I moved to the West Coast. Why I moved out of New York City and came to California. So living close to nature, why I moved to California was for that reason exactly. I love the fact that when I'm driving, for instance, the mountains are like right there. If we want to go for a small walk or hike, it's a little drive away. As much I'm living closer, not as close as I want to be, but in New York City, if I wanted some freaking nature, I had to travel at least 2 or 3 hours. Here, 20 minutes, maybe less, and I'm in some mountains, looking at a beautiful landscape. So I think it's important to live close to nature because obviously it provides more happiness. It's part of the whole thing. Like, how can I create my everything around me to make me as the most happiest? Because I do want to live a long life. I need to be aware of everything and what causes me to live long, and being close to nature is one way. So it's important to live close to nature. Have plants in your house. If you do live in the city and don't want to leave, just try, right? I have a plant here. We have a monstera plant there. We have plants outside. We have a plant in our room. I have a plant at my office desk at work. An office standing desk, by the way. I had to throw it out there for movement people. So I just love being close to nature and just having them around all the time. And then with 22, if you want to unlock higher versions of yourself or listen to your most wise self, I'd say most important things you can do for yourself is quiet. Putting yourselves in very, very quiet situations. I mean, no sound at all. If you live in a city, like, cover your eyes, put noise canceling buds on, no music, no none, just listen to the quiet for a few minutes, and you will go some places, and your mind will take care of things that you're like, I needed to take care of that, and it's, I figured it out. You can utilize psychedelics and meditation. And this gives you access to what most people would say your higher self. So I tried my best, though I don't take psychedelics, I try my best to meditate as often as I can, or just sit in the quiet for a while. Number 23, procrastination is always there. It's something I learned. I had this crazy battle, and I still battle with procrastination. but I always thought that you have to get rid of procrastination. Obviously, I learned through years and years of trying to remove procrastination, reading books on it. At the end of the day, procrastination is always there. It's a daily battle, and you only get better at conquering it every day. So you may sit and procrastinate on something for an hour, and you fight that procrastination, but it takes you an hour to get to the work, and and maybe next week it takes you 55 minutes. Maybe the week after it takes 50 minutes. And the week after that it takes 45 minutes. You get where I'm going with this. But procrastination is always there. It's just you get better at overcoming it every time it does arise. And sometimes you don't. And sometimes you'll lose that battle. And that's okay. So procrastination is always there. And that was a big lesson I learned. 24. Your perception and reality are shaped from so many things. It may cause you to want to be right all the time. In this case, listen to others and see where they may have been shaped as well. And I talked about this in an earlier point. It's just like people have different opinions and views, and sometimes you will not agree with them. I mean, the interwebs is a shithole of disagreements when you look into the comment section. If you want to be higher, and this is what I learned recently, if I want to be in a higher state of mind, I need to be able to see where that is coming from and understand them. So be in a place of understanding versus being understood. Because I will never be understood no matter what you can do. People will just be people. So go against what you perceive and what's your reality, because everyone else is living a different perception, a different reality. So ask questions, be curious. I'm going to keep going back to that because it's very important, being curious. 25, take leaps of faith in life. No matter where you go, it will always be an interesting story. So there is no right and wrong, really. There's just interesting stories and success stories. That's pretty much it. Or you could just say there's only interesting stories. So take the leap of faith, take the risk. Trust me, I learned that whether I was going to China and living there for close to a year, or that I was quitting my job 8 months before leaving to China to just kind of like see what that felt like, since I had been working since I was 12 years old, 12, 13, around there. So taking leaps of faith, taking risks, super vital to the story. At the time, it sucked ass, but now when I think back to and I have hindsight, it's like, wow, I'm really happy I did that. So take leaps of faith. For me, it has worked. It has made me grow in an insane level, and it's given me so much hindsight, and it's given me so much learning lessons. So that I can pass on to the next group. 26. Learning to say no may be one of the most powerful things you can do. Yes, I used to be a yes man. Maybe a few folks are really good at saying no, but I from my experience, a lot of people have had a hard time saying no, and they say yes even when they don't want to. So a great book by James Altucher called The Power of No, and it's just respecting your time and utilize it in the best way possible. I talked about the plates earlier in the beginning of this video, and the plates still hold true here, right? You need to say no and see what you value most and put your time and effort to there. So focus on that and learn to say no, right? 27, there are no bad things that happen to you, only growing lessons. So bad things will happen, at least your perception of it may be bad, but when you change it, and there's a great video by Jocko Willing called Good that really shows this exact lesson I learned, that everything that happens, good, learning lesson, good, I can take this to this, good, I can do this instead. Oh, that didn't work out, cool, we can do this. Or like, oh, we didn't hit that, those numbers we were supposed to hit. Good, we have to find ways to work harder. We have to be strategic. We have to get a little more creative. It just gives you opportunity to do something else. So no bad things ever happen, only opportunities to do other things, to think differently, and to be different. Number 28, unlearning things is just as powerful of learning new things. And I thought I'm on this growth spurt. I'm growing. I'm reading. I'm devouring all of these things. But at the same time, while I'm learning these things, I'm removing things. If you want to look at it in the body, you eat, you shit out the things your body doesn't need, right? And that's kind of what I do. I learn new things and I shit out all the unnecessary things, or the things that I learned when I was young. It's like, why did I believe that, right? So as I continue to grow, I continue to realize that unlearning certain things and certain biases and certain superstitions, for instance, is just as important as learning new things. So I try my best to really challenge my thoughts and ideas and move forward with them, right? So I'm constantly learning, and with that, I'm constantly unlearning as well. So see what your beliefs are, read the opposites, and maybe you may unlearn some things that are not really good for you. 29, motivation is not a thing. If anything, it takes more grit and determination to really motivate yourself daily. Motivation, you can watch a video, be motivated for 5 minutes, and then it completely dissipates. So I used to want to be motivated all the time. I used to be those people that used to watch motivational videos in the morning. I kind of still do occasionally, but I understand the fact that it will not last long. So once I feel motivated to do something, I have to do it immediately. I have to drop everything that I'm doing and just take that energy of motivation and put it into whatever I'm motivated to do. So if that's like editing a video, for instance, sometimes I record a video, I don't immediately go and upload it. I'm like, whew, I did the video, I'm gonna go do something else for a bit. And then when I'm motivated to do the video, I'll do it later. And this is why probably my videos haven't been, uploaded frequently. They're uploaded like all over the place, right? And I know that's partially because sometimes I'm not motivated to sit and edit for 2-3 hours. And upload a video that maybe only watched 10 or 15 times. So, it takes motivation, it takes perseverance, it takes grit and determination, which I'm working on. And that's one of my New Year's things, which I've started last week, was to just do it, get it out the body, right? So motivation doesn't last long. It takes daily practice, grit, and determination. And last but not least, number 30. And this is going to be a quick one. And that's the easy one. And I kind of mentioned it already with the love and death. Because love is the only constant there is. That's it. It's all that exists. If you believe in God, it is God. It is who you pray to. It is everything. Love exists all around us. We are constantly showing love. We are constantly receiving love. And even if you do not believe that, if we were to talk and we were to sit, I will question you, and you will realize that you have experienced moments of love, even in the smallest kind. You just haven't seen it. You've been so blind by your depression and darkness that you haven't seen it. But love is always there, even within the deep darkness. Love will exist, and I learned that through taking shrooms. But before that, I really didn't see it. I was in a dark place for quite a while, but through reading, through friends, and having the proper friends around me, I have been able to realize that love exists all around me. And when I feel like I'm in a dark place, there are so many strings of love that I can just attach myself to. And that's how I see it. And I see myself as sitting in a dark place with all these streams of strings or threads that I can follow, that I can pull to or be pulled with. And it's depending on me and if I choose to do so. So love is the only constant that exists. And that's how I live my life. So I hope you enjoyed this 30 things I learned from my 30 years on this planet. Please, if you sat here and watched the whole video, I really appreciate your time. I really much love. I hope you feel it going through this screen right now. And keep watching videos. A lot more to come in 2020. Much love. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe so more and more people can see this this content. Leave comments below on some things you've learned or what you took from this. What were your favorite of the 30? And I really hope you enjoy your New Year's, folks. So with that, much love. Subscribe here. Click somewhere. I have it somewhere. But I love you, and I hope the best for you. All right? Have a good one, guys. Peace.